This is the last regular episode for 2020. Yes, baby, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Yanek Show, episode 50. Oh my god, 50. Jesus Christ. That's a lot of episode times. Time flies so fast, but this is not the time to get sentimental, okay? I'm going to get sentimental on the 1 year anniversary show, which is coming very soon. Now, listen, why this is not the last episode of the Mechanic Show. Don't cry for me, Argentina, or whatever the name of that song was. This is the last regular episode for 2020 because next week is the Mike Yannick's Christmas special show. Yes, extravaganza, holiday bonanza to remember. Okay, so make sure you tune in next Wednesday premieres. This time we're gonna do something a little bit different. I'm gonna try the premiere option on YouTube. Only on YouTube. You're not gonna get an audio version like you do on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all that stuff. So make sure you tune in, and it's going to be a different show. It's gonna be all about Christmas. I'm gonna tell you crazy Christmas stories from my childhood. I'm gonna tell you what I got. I'll show you the gifts that I got. For Christmas, for mostly for my girlfriend, because I haven't seen anybody else in ages. So yeah, I'll show you that, and I'll recommend you some products. They're not sponsored, but just some of the best products that I've tried and I really really love, for the last few years. So you can get them as Christmas gift, even though it's going to be a bit late, to be honest with you. But you can get them as Christmas gifts or New Year gifts, or whatever type of occasion you need. You can get those products. They're amazing. We're going to watch some Christmas, fails and stuff. There's gonna be like a little surprise over here. There's gonna be a Christmas tree. It's gonna be amazing. Okay, it's gonna be so much fun. But this is the last episode, and I thought because the next Wednesday after that, I think, is the first, isn't it? The 1st of January. And there's no way I'm gonna put out an episode on the 1st of January because I'm going to be so drunk. No, I don't drink, but nobody's gonna watch it. And and I was thinking, like, I think that's a better way for me to take maybe like a week or 2 weeks off. So pretty much I'm just not going to post 1 week, on the 1st of January, and then we're coming back 2021, new season 2 of the Mechanic Show, and it's going to be a little bit different. I have a few surprises for you. Make sure you stay tuned, and also you will see me. I will have a maybe a little bit slightly different format of the show, and yeah. So this is the last regular episode. So and the first so this is part 3 of 3, and I thought, what, number 55, it's a good way to end the year, because I was thinking to do episode 51 and to do then the Christmas special, and then, on the 1st of January, but I was like, nah, 50 is a good way to cut off. Also, so I forgot to mention, when I come back on the 6th of January is going to be the 1 year anniversary of the show, so I'll try to do it like a special episode or whatever. Maybe I will tell you the story of how I got the podcast, and maybe like recap the first episode and some of the things that I've gone through throughout the year, about filming and recording and all that stuff. And I'll give you like a little inside details. Hold on, my jacket is making noise. Inside details about, the podcast and how it operates. Okay, now enough with the fucking promotion and all that stuff. We have business to talk about. So today is it's part 3 out of 3. In the first 2 episodes, I told you pretty much my process. I was thinking, like, I think that's a good way to finish off the year, just to tell you how I write stand-up comedy, because I've been doing stand-up comedy for a while now, even though, with the whole pandemic and lockdown, things got a little bit murky, you know what I mean? So in the first episode, I told you my process, how I come up with material, how I, kind of group things. On the second episode, I told you how I edit and what is my process, once I have all that material. And today I will give you a little bit of detail. So if you haven't watched the 2 episodes, go back and watch them. I think they're quite good and you will enjoy them. Even if you don't have nothing to do with stand-up comedy, I think it's fun and interesting, at least for me, to see how a person who is a stand-up comedian come up with his material. Sorry, I'm in holiday mood, to be honest with you. I'm very sorry. My brain is all over the place. Okay, we got presents to unwrap and for me to wrap and unwrap, and it's Christmas and I love it. There's music everywhere and I'm in the mood, I'm in the spirit. Oh baby Lord, sweet Jesus. Okay, I want to just sing gospel songs or whatever, you know what I mean, and wear sweaters. Anyway, so hold on, I need to get through this episode. So today I'll just finish off. I'll just tell you how I learned the material, how I practice it, how I prepare it for stage, and then I'll tell you the whole how I go on stage, what goes through my head, and all that stuff. Okay, let's get into it. Maybe I'll read from time to time because there's a lot of things to talk about. Okay, so learning process for me, I have very bad memory. So that is a big issue for me. So what I have to do is, once my material is ready, like I said in the previous episode, how I get it done, once everything is ready, I need to actually sit there and read it at least maybe 10 to 15 times. And to be, like in school, when you're in school and you have this, I don't know, history lesson or whatever, biology lesson, and you have to learn it because you're going to go up on the board and retell the story or whatever. I don't know how you do it in the UK, but in Bulgaria this is how we did the testing. You just go and they ask you questions, So for me, I learn it, literally sit down and memorize it. I read it maybe like 10 times, memorize it, then I start practicing in my house, because there is no way I'm going to write a 5-minute bit and just read it and go on stage and say it out loud for the first time ever in front of strangers. No way. So for me to feel comfortable with that bit, I have to be at home and just saying that bit out loud. Obviously, at the beginning, it's not going to be as smooth, and it's not going to, maybe I wouldn't get the timing right, and the little transitions between the structures inside the bit. It's not going to be perfect, but I need to say it out loud at least a few times, okay? So I say the first few times, sometimes I even write it down on my phone, or just copy and paste it on my phone, or I have my file open and I just read it, and I go here and I'm like, hey, and then I went to the store, and and if I forget something, I'll go back and look at it. So I try to say it 5, 6, 7 times until I don't need to read it anymore. And by that time, if I read it 10 times and act it out loud 5, 6, 7 times, at that point, and this is in the span of about 1 day, 2 days, I kind of know it now, And once I memorize it, then I can start doing the faces, doing the little pauses, the little, maybe add some physical comedy to it, just improvise and just start building on it. And this is how I learned a bit. Now, when I do a bit, I go on stage and I try to do it for a few weeks, maybe a few months, and just trying to get it perfect, just to be perfect. But if I do a bit, it's very rare for me to spend that much time learning and practicing something, doing that bit 1-2 times on stage, and if it doesn't go well, I'll be like, forget it, and just throw it away. I had that with, I think, 1 or 2 bits, but this is literally at the beginning, where I didn't have a process of writing and editing and all that stuff. But usually, if I spend that much time memorizing it, I need to go somewhere with that bit, and I try to write evergreen material, you know what I mean? So because listen, I spend a lot of time and effort creating these bits and that material. So why I don't do topical comedy? Because for me, topical comedy, the shelf life of a bit is literally a month, not even that, you know what I mean? Like, if you do a coronavirus bit or whatever, which please don't do corona jokes, but whatever, and what if this thing's goes away in a few months and nobody will remember it, you know what I mean? It's like, and how long can you do that bit, you know what I mean, without people rolling their eyes, That's why I have a bit on cricket, for instance, because cricket, the rules of the sport hasn't changed for the last 100 and something years, and for the next at least 50 years, the sport will remain relatively the same. So I can go with that bit on my lifetime, you know what I mean? So that's why I try to, no topical comedy, just try to do bits, evergreen bits, And if I'm going to spend all that time and effort, I'm like, okay, I need to use it as much as I can, right? So after I memorize it, then I have, then there's a lot of practice. Now, what I do is I have a microphone, like I said in the previous episode, from just from Amazon. It's like £5, like an actual, I think it's called karaoke microphone. And I take the microphone, and I have, like a time, like stopwatch clock or whatever. And hey, ladies and gentlemen, now welcome to stage, Mike Yanek. And I'm like, yeah, hello everybody. And I pretend that I take out the mic from the stand, and I was like, hey, how's everybody doing? And then I go into the bit, and I click my watch so I know how many minutes the bit is, and I leave little pauses, and his shirt was gray, and let's say that's the punchline, and then literally I leave like 2 seconds, like, and then I continue. You know what I mean? So it's good because that way you kind of learn timing without the audience, because you kind of learn where to leave. Just give them. You cannot be on the offense all the time. I make the analogy that stand-up comedy is like boxing a little bit. So you cannot be on the offense all the time. So when you hit that punch, you need to just give them a breather. So they can laugh, and then you can continue. Even though in boxing you need to smash them in it. Now, yeah. So once I have a few bits ready, it's time to have a set, in a like 10, 15, 20 minute set. All right. My biggest issue is, once I learn a bit, it's not an issue. Like, I've never had a problem. Maybe I'll miss a little punchline here and there, but I kind of know I can do the whole bit, even if it's long. But my issue is, because I don't do transitions, so if I have a set of 4 bits, bit 1, 2, 3, and 4, my biggest issue is that sometimes I miss. It happened to me, I think, 3 times on stage. And I mean, it's not bad out of 80 gigs when you think about it, but still, where I actually forgot the order of the bits, and sometimes I actually missed a full bit. And then because I'm like, oh shit, I forgot it midway another bit, either I come back to it, or like I add something new, or I improvise so I can make up the time, and I was like, oh damn. So my biggest fear on stage is me actually forgetting which bit is next after I finish the bit. And it happened one time. I remember they're laughing, and I completely blanked out. I was like, what is next? I I'm good like that, you know what I mean? Like, never let them see you sweat. I think Joan Rivers said that. I'm not sure about regarding business. If you're in trouble or something, never see them sweat. Never hold on. Never let them see you sweat. Yeah, sorry. And I kind of have like this face, like I'm laughing and stuff, but in my head I'm like, oh my god, I'm completely panicking. What is next? So what I did, and this is actually recently, because I really forget. On my phone I have, let's say, I don't know, Brexit joke, Love Island, cricket, buzz gossip, and I just have a title for the bit. I don't actually write out the whole bit on my phone, and I stand there before the gig and I'm actually reading the jokes and all that stuff, because if I do that, I will get more confused, you know what I mean? Because I'm nervous. I just have the titles. I don't even have the bits on my phone, by the way. Everything, all my material is here. So if I forget a bit here, I'm fucked, you know what I mean? Everything is on my computer, the actual, written out bit and editing and all that stuff. So just have the titles. But sometimes I forget. So what I started doing recently is emojis. Because for me, I have, how do you call it? Like photography memory? Photogenic memory? Is that? No, that's not it. It's so difficult sometimes, because when you're doing a podcast by yourself, you have nobody to correct you or to tell you, like, you're completely wrong. What are you talking about? Photogenic memory, or whatever it's called. I know somebody's screaming at the screen. Somebody is screaming at the screen right now. It's like, this is not what it's called. It's called something completely different. But pretty much, if I look at something, I kind of remember it. You know what I mean? So what I started doing is just do the emojis. So I have, like, if it's a bus, I do the bus emoji. If it's like Love Island, I have the little emoji of the little island with the little sun. If it's a cricket, there's like a cricket bat. And it works wonders for me, because I literally, even if I close my eyes, I can see the actual pictures and I know what's next. So I did this like 3 or 4 times on stage, and it worked like magic. One day I just came up with it, because I was doing 15 minutes. But I was doing a lot of, there's like 7 or 8 different bits, because they were like all these They were short bits, but they're very punchy, with a lot of punchlines, and I've done them before. But I need to do 6, 7, or 8 of them, and I was like, oh, I cannot remember the order. But I just did the emojis, worked like a charm. You know what I mean? So I gotta do what I gotta do to remember that stuff. Okay, how I prepare for a gig. I'll try to fit in everything, to finish up this episode. That's why there's like a lot of things. How I prepare for a gig. So after I book a gig, usually the booking happens Facebook, social media, everything's online nowadays, or email, or I just contact the people. If I have a good relationship with a promoter, I just contact them and I'll be like, hey, listen, I'm looking for gigs. Do you have something coming up? And they were like, yeah, I have this gig, that gig. So they pretty much give you a spot, right? So let's say that I already have the gig. Now, what I usually do is I have my trusty backpack. It's called Comedy Bag, it's very nice, waterproof as well because it rains a lot in the UK. So what I do is I always need to have food. I'm a small guy, but I eat like crazy, okay? I get hungry all the time. So what I do is I always get a sandwich. I make like a little fruit container and like a little pretzels and nuts and all that stuff. So I try to have like a proper meal as well, get some water. So I go over there. I don't drive at the moment. I'm working on it, but I usually love to do car shares. Sometimes I have to go with train or bus, which can be a little bit lonely, especially if it's like far away. But it's so much fun because now I have a lot of people that I know, a lot of friends in the comedy circuit. So we do car shares all the time. And car shares, it's usually one comedian will pick up a few comedians that live in the same area, or he's driving by them or whatever, and we just give them a few quid. We just split the bill for the fuel, and it's fun for everybody because usually it's cheaper for me as a passenger, and it's much quicker because usually I either meet them in town or they just swing by my house and pick me up. And it's good for the driver because he's not alone, he, she, whatever, he's not alone, and it gets cheaper for them as well because if you have 4 comedians in total, well, if you have 3 more people with you, each will give you 10, 15 quid, and pretty much your fuel is covered. While if you go by yourself, you probably have to pay 20, 30, 40 quid sometimes because if you're traveling far away. And car shares are always so much fun. This is one of my favorite things about being a comedian. Is just the camaraderie and the community of comedians and the people in the industry. It's so much fun. I've never had any issues with nobody. And we just talk shit, we tell stories, especially if it's new people. And everybody has a great sense of humor, which is very important for me. I cannot be around boring people. Okay, if you're boring, get the hell out of me. I want nothing to do with you. Okay, I like funny, crazy, wild people, and it's just so much fun. Right? So we go there to the venue, and I like to scout out the venue a little bit. If it's a pub or a non-comedy, if it's not a comedy club, usually because you see the stage and you can actually, because the lights are usually not dim, so you can actually see everybody. So what I like to do is I like to scout the area. Okay, I just want to have a look. What is the audience like? What they're talking about? What they're laughing? Where is the stage? The bartenders? When is the last call? For the alcohol, are people very drunk? Is there like a guy in the corner who is like violent or just looking strange, and maybe he'll tackle me while I'm on stage or stuff like that? Because stuff like that have happened. They haven't tackled me, but I had a few cases where I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna get my ass whooped over here. You know what I mean? Because I'm talking so much shit about people. And I roast the audience. I don't give a fuck. So anyway, I like to scout them. And what I usually do is, because the comedians, we have our own table nearby. So what I do, because British people are crazy friendly. They're so friendly and so easy to approach, especially in pubs and bars, and everybody just want to have a good time and chill. So what I usually do is I usually talk to people. I talk to the audience, and this is how I call it. I butter them up, because to be honest with you, I'm not a shy guy. I'm not shy on stage. I'm not shy off stage, and I love the camera and stuff. You know what I mean? So for me, I'm not one of those people that I only become like, how do you call it? Introvert, is that it? Man, today I don't know any words today. I don't know no words. But I'm not like a shy guy, you know what I mean? Because some people, they get like before stage, before they hit the stage and after the stage, they after they finish the gig, they're very like reserved and shy and they don't want to meet people. I'm the opposite, man. When I walk into a venue, I'm literally like, hey, I'm here, baby, showtime, you know what I mean? I'm very like wild and flamboyant, and I like people. So especially at gigs and all that stuff. And I like to talk to them, butter them up, innit? So what I do is, if I'm sitting nearby and somebody says something like, "Oh, you comedian, or you on," blah blah blah, and I just start talking with them, and I just start making jokes. So I wanna make them laugh before I even hit the stage. So I had a few cases like that where I made like 2 or 3 tables nearby, and we're just talking, and I've already won them. So if there's like 6 tables and I've already butter up 3 of them, that's 50% of the room. They already like me. So when I go on stage, they'll be like, "Oh, that's that guy. The guy that talked to us 5 minutes ago and that we like so much." Okay. And they already like you. You know what I mean? Because it's so much easier. Because if nobody knows you, every time you go, you have to catch them in the first 30 seconds. You know what I mean? And I have to work extra hard because I don't have a name in the industry. Nobody knows me. So I have to work double as hard just so they can be like, "Oh, okay, we trust you. You're funny." But if I butter them up before the gig, job is half done. Then it's a super easy gig because they all like you. You know what I mean? I had these drunk British, middle-aged British women. Always, that's my demographic, by the way. Drunk, middle-aged British women love me. Okay, and I was doing a gig in a pub right after the lockdown, the first one, got lifted, and they were just talking to me. "Ah, you on blah blah blah," and I make them laugh and all that stuff. They were on a table nearby, and they was like, "We're gonna go at the back, have some drinks, because the comedy is over here. You call us when you're on stage. We wanna see you. You're funny, you're nice." One of them said, "I'm kind of cute and handsome." Okay, let's just be honest. I have a lot of weird experiences, by the way, with like middle-aged British women. I don't know what it is. Maybe because I'm young looking, or like because I'm kind of petite or whatever. I don't know. There's some weird stuff going on. But I had a lot of like weird comments and stuff after gigs from these women. Anyway, and before I went to the stage, I called them over. They laughed like insane. Their table loved it. You know what I mean? And after the gigs, they came over. We took pictures. They're actually in my vlog, Life of a Stand-Up Comedian. Go and check it on my account. Episode number 1, I think. At the end, there's like these 2 women. "He's fucking funny. He's so fucking. He's brilliant." Those 2 drunk Scouse women. So and they loved it. So I have to butter them up. I have to keep them, on my side. Okay. Now also, other thing very important. I get crazy nervous before gigs. Always, always, always. Oh, and to be honest with you, I don't like that feeling that much. But I think that when you get nervous about something, then it's fun, it's interesting. There is something at stake here. You know what I mean? Am I going to win or am I going to lose? Because if you're not getting a little bit nervous or excited, I don't know, man. It's like fucking. When I go to the store to shop, I don't get nervous. When I go to the gym, I don't get nervous. You know what I mean? Like, when you do these little mundane stuff, sometimes I get nervous before I start recording. Actually, every time I got a little bit nervous because I don't know what's gonna happen. Sorry, oh Jesus Christ, I'm burping over here. Is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? You know what I mean? So I kind of like when there's like a little bit of tension in my belly. You know what I'm saying? So I get always very, very nervous. I have a routine. Okay, this is too much information, but I always go and I always poop. I don't know why, but I always have the shits. So I go, I take poop. I go to the bathroom like 5-6 times to pee. I get very nervous, okay, and I have to pee. And I right before, so you have the MC, so I know it's my turn. Before I get my name called, I'm literally like pacing, I'm like shivering, I'm like sweating a little bit. I'm super, my stomach hurts. I'm super, super nervous. You know what I mean? Even though when you see me on stage, you think like, "Oh, this guy, he doesn't get nervous." Oh, bro, I get probably more nervous than anybody I've seen. Because with me, I'm very expressive, physical. I wear my emotions on my sleeve a little bit. So you can see when I'm nervous. And if you ask me, "Are you okay?" I'll be like, "Oh, bro, I'm nervous as fuck." You know what I mean? Like, I'll tell you that I'm nervous. I don't pretend to be like Mr. Cool over here. I even said to many people after I finished a gig and I went well, and I was like, "Mate, I was so nervous." before this gig. Even I did hot water in end of August, and they just lifted, the first lockdown, and I've done only one or two gigs before that, and I haven't gigged for like 6 7 months, and that was the most nervous I've been ever in my comedy, besides my first time in this one. And I even said to the other acts and the promoter, and they're all great, by the way, in hot water. I love them. Like, I've talked so good about that club all the time, like they're awesome. And I even said to them, I was so nervous, mate, I was shaking. And but they was like, but it went very, very good. I'm very happy. And always so nervous, but once I hit the stage, the moment they say my name, and I just lift my hands. This is how I walk into gigs now. I just lift my hands. I used to scream, but I stopped doing it because I blew out my voice a few times, and I was like, I cannot. Like, what if I have 5 gigs a week in the future? Like, I cannot go. You know what I mean? My voice couldn't take it. And so what I started doing, I just lift my hands, and I'm just like this. Woo, show business, baby. And I go on stage, and it all goes away the minute I lift my hands. And while I'm on stage, I still have that. It's like walking a tight rope, a rope, and there's like the Grand Canyon below you or whatever, right? You cannot get too relaxed. That's the thing. When I'm on stage, I don't know how other acts are. Maybe if you've been doing it for a while and you just, for you it's nothing, you can just do it and you don't have to worry about it. But for me, I'm literally like, I'm doing a punchline and that and this and that, and it's scary as fuck, bro. It's doing comedy is so scary. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be out here, Mr. McCool or whatever. I'd be like, shit, it's easy, bro. It's comedy is easy. No, bro, comedy is so difficult and it's so scary. It's nerve wracking. And I think that like, how many people on the planet have ever even tried doing stand up comedy? That fucking, not even a 1%. You know what I mean? Like, an unbelievably small amount of people will ever even try doing stand-up comedy, and it's insane. I mean, there is few phenomena, some rare people that maybe they don't have. I heard that there's like a part of your brain that they're responsible for fear and anxiety and all that stuff. And I've heard people that it's kind of like a switch in their brain that this is just how they're born, or something happened to them, maybe an accident or whatever, and they don't have it. So when you see those t-shirts that says no fear, some people literally don't have fear because they don't have that hormone or that like things. It's kind of missing or something switched off. But those people are like 1 in a billion or whatever, you know what I mean, and a million. And maybe there are some people who literally don't. It's nothing for them to get on stage. But for me, it's so nerve wracking. Oh my god, dude. And even though I'm very confident, very loud, and I seem that I'm in control when I'm on stage, but the whole time I'm just like, I'm doing a joke, it lands. Okay, now next one, next one, next. Just make them laugh, make them laugh. Okay, do this bit. Okay, this, and at the same time, I'm still trying to improve every gig. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, oh, let's try this, let's try that. Okay, like do a little look, or maybe like do a little move. Wait for a few seconds. You know what? Give them a few more seconds. So let everything settle down. Don't start the bit straight away. Maybe wait for a few seconds, pace around, look around, just trying to slowly think about what you're doing on stage and trying to improvise and maybe add a little bit more and get a little bit more comfortable and this and that. And you're learning, that's the great thing about comedy. You can never master it. That is the best thing. That's why I think you will never get bored with comedy if you really, really like it and love it and all that stuff. And if you want to master it, you never will. You know what I mean? That's the great thing. You can see comedians who've been doing it for 30 years and they have bad sets till this day from time to time. It's rare, but they do, because that's the thing. It's 50-50. If I go and I'm a weightlifter and I go on the Olympics, well, you kind of know how you're going to do, because like if you can lift 100 kilograms or not. The audience, yeah, I mean, you might be a little bit nervous and stuff, but the audience doesn't have an impact on you. Meaning the audience will not come over and they will sit on the weights and make it heavier, or somebody kicks you in the nuts right before you try to lift that weight. But not in comedy. In comedy, it's 50-50. You might be an absolutely outstanding performer and to be funny and to do your set perfectly, but if the audience is just like, nope, they're just like this, lean back with their, hands or whatever, crossed, for whatever reason. Maybe they don't like you, maybe something happened before that, maybe the other act was really bad, or the subject that you're talking about, and maybe you've killed it 10 times in a row, but this 11th crowd, they're like, no, nah, buddy, we're not giving you anything, and you're gonna die in your ass. And you'll be like, but hold on, he's been doing for 25 years and he's amazing. How did he die? Well, the audience was not with it. So that's the thing. That's why you can never be like, you can always have a bad gig. That's the great thing about it. You can never relax when you do comedy. You can never relax. And that's why it's like so pent up and pressure and all that stuff. And if you do well, there's like this explosion at the end. When you say thank you so much or whatever the hell, I usually say thank you guys, enjoy the rest of the show. Or if I'm closing, which it doesn't happen that often, let's be honest. But if I'm closing, I say, thank you so much, drive home safely, or like enjoy the rest of your evening or something like that. And if you've done a good job, they will know it, you will know it, and it's an explosion. They're like, yeah, whoa, they clap, they scream, and you have this, and when you put that mic, and the minute you leave, or while you're on stage putting that mic, there's this explosion from the inside. And it feels so fucking good. It feels amazing. I've never done drugs in my life, and I have zero interest of doing. But I even said, my girlfriend got mad at me one time, but I even said to her, the greatest rush I've ever had in my life was murdering, comedy. Just doing so well, like 10, 15 minutes, just like having an amazing gig. That is the greatest rush I've ever experienced. Better than sex. And she was like, what? And I was like, yeah, if I have to choose to go to a club that is packed with 500 people and murder for 20 minutes, or choose to sleep with a Victoria's Secret model for 20 minutes, I'll choose the comedy, mate. And if you've never done comedy right now, you've been thinking like, Mike, you must be crazy. Bro, listen to me. It's mind-blowing how it's a life-changing experience. When I started doing comedy, when I did my first few really good gigs, when you have that first really good gig when you're just starting out, because at the beginning you do okay, you'll be like, yeah, or especially if it's like your first, yeah, you did well, it's like, oh my god, this is fun. But when you have that first, I don't know, maybe 10th gig, 15th gig, 17th gig, whatever, and it's kind of luck. You know what I mean? You kind of don't know what you're doing, but it's like the right time, the right moment, and you do your set the best way you can, and the audience is into it, and you destroy the first time. That is a life-changing experience. Honestly, like, your life will never be the same. You'll be like, something happened now, and I want to get that rush, I want to chase that dragon, or I just want to improve and do this more. And you feel like a different person. You become a little bit more confident. You be like, oh my god, I'm good at something. I can do this. Even though, yeah, it was maybe just a fluke. You just got lucky, but it's a life-changing experience. So I said to her, better than sex. Not even close. And so yeah, once I get off stage. Now, this is a very important part, okay? A lot of people think that when you go to a venue, the show starts when your name is called and the show ends when you get off stage. When I'm in your building, the show starts the minute I step through that door. If I am there at 7 o'clock, the show starts. The Mike Yanek show starts at 7. And that show ends when I leave your venue. Let's say I leave at 10. So there's a 3-hour show. That means I will make everybody laugh that I see. I'll make the promoters, the other comedians. I'll go through the tables. Bro, I'm like a bride at a wedding. I go from table to table. How you doing, guys? Are you enjoying yourselves? Yeah, can I can help you with this, help you with that? No problem. The bus boy or whatever, in the restaurants, on the pub, he's carrying. You need some help, mate? Yeah, I'll help you. No worry. Like, I'm there. I'm part of the team. I'm part of that venue for 3 hours. I'm not booked for 10 minutes. I'm booked for 3 hours to be sweet, to be funny, to be nice to people. And that is what, I learned very quickly. And also, it's very fun for me, because it's much fun for me to go and be crazy and do that for 3 hours than 10 minutes, Super sweet. Once I get off stage, I usually, if I have a second gig somewhere, or if I'm traveling, I need to get off straight away, okay? But if I don't, I can stay for a bit. And if the gig went well, I go to the tables, like I told you, and I literally go and, like, on the, they have the little breaks, intervals, like, how you doing, guys? Are you okay? Are you enjoying yourself so far? They're like, yeah, did you enjoy the show? But I do that to tables that I saw them laughing and enjoying, you know what I mean? Because if somebody was heckling me or didn't like it, I wouldn't go to them. I might go to them if we got into like a little conflict with I was on stage, and I'll be like, sorry mate, it's just comedy, just joking, I hope that you're having fun. I'll check on them, but I'll first go to the tables that, enjoy themselves the most, you know? And also I'll take pictures. Oh, I love taking pictures. You know what I mean? I take pictures. I'll do whatever you want, and pictures and stuff. And sometimes I do like private shows. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, make that bit. How did you come up with that bit? And I start improvising. I make jokes and I make them even more laugh. Or like, oh, is that your missus? And I do crowd work with them. There's like a little table. They're looking at me. So it's like a continuation of the show. And then when I say to them, oh, I'm on social media, they're like, oh, mate, we're checking you out 100% because we like you so much and you're funny and you made us laugh and all that stuff. And I'm like, yo, guys, I have a podcast as well where I talk about, gigs and all that stuff. They're like, oh, okay, we'll check it out. And this is how I built following, even though now, oh, fucking hell, this coronavirus and lockdown things got they slowed down because I was on a good trajectory, with the social media, but, I cannot promote now after gigs. That's okay. That's why I have the podcast. Anyway, how much I've done? Fucking hell, I've talked a lot today. I am done. Last thing, okay. Yeah, when I go home. Oh, just to let you know how I do. Yeah, so I record. I just want to tell you how I revise comedy and all that stuff. So I record all my bits. When I go home, sorry, if there was jokes that didn't work or were very weak, I'll listen to my recording, which is very difficult to listen to yourself. Oh, I hate it so much to listen to myself. And then I'll sit down and I'll just retype stuff. I see where the joke is. If one time they didn't laugh, I was like, okay. If nobody laughed, they was like, okay, I'll try it again. If nobody laughs, then I change it. I keep on changing it until it works. And if it doesn't work, maybe the premise is not correct. Maybe the bit, and it depends. If I'm like, okay. And it depends on me. If I don't feel very strong about that, I was like, yeah, that's kind of weak, I'll just remove it. If not, I'll keep working until it gets done and just keep on trying it every time, At the beginning, I do a bit that works. At the end, I do a bit that works. I usually like to do small bit. I like to do 2 minutes that work, 8 minutes that I've never done before, Because if I do 6 or 8 minutes of good material that works and 2 minutes with new, I mean, yeah, but I have to be there when I'm doing new material. I mean, to develop new material, not to have a good gig or to make me feel good or whatever, Yeah, and that's about it, to be honest with you. And when I get home, I usually try to. So, the first few times I couldn't sleep because I didn't know how to handle the adrenaline. But when I get home, I'm very tired when I get home. Very, very tired. Because I told you, I do a 3-hour show. Anyway, when I walk, I talk to everybody. I'm loud. I scream. On the way back, I talk with the comedians. I record my sets now with the video and stuff. And I'm super tired. So when I get home, I usually so tired that I just have food and watch wrestling. And that's it. Or just watch some sitcoms or whatever. And, and just go to bed. That's it. Boom. My secrets are out there. And this is my entire process. Now, listen, mate. 5-10 years from now, when I'm selling out arenas, you can come back and be like, oh my god, listen, when he had 40 subscribers and when he was nobody, I listened to him and I knew how he does his shtick. Now, listen, mate, thanks so much for listening for 2020. We had fun. It was a fun year. Well, not a fun year. I mean, it was a shit year, but it was a good year for the podcast. I think this is just season 1, pilot season. I'm learning. I'm developing. I'll buy new camera in the beginning, the lights I'm updating. I'm learning new stuff every day, okay? And don't forget, next Wednesday, 10 o'clock, make sure premiere Mike Yanek Show Christmas special. Watch it, okay? I will see you 2021, 6th of January, 9 o'clock, every Wednesday. And it's going to be a 1-year anniversary show. And we'll take it from there. It's going to be a bit surprises. Going to be a few new bits and pieces. That's about it, mate. I hope that you enjoy the first season of the Mike Yanek Show. And I hope that you enjoy my writing process. And I'll see you next year. Don't forget, next Wednesday, Mike Yanek Christmas special.